From Hollywood to Africa, Denim Richards has built a career defined by purpose, artistry, and authenticity. Known for his standout role in the hit series Yellowstone, Denim has become a powerful voice for storytelling that uplifts identity and humanity. Now, fresh from his participation at the Africa International Film Festival, where conversations on collaboration, creativity, and cultural exchange took center stage, he now joins us to share his reflections on this year's festival, his journey as an artist, and his thoughts on the future of African storytelling on the global stage. Welcome to Arise 360, Denim. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. It's our pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you for being here. So is this your first time in Nigeria?
No.
Okay, you've come before.
Yes.
All right,
yes,
fantastic. Yes. So you've just come off an incredible experience at AFRIF 2025. I mean, that's where we met. And I was, this year's conversation, all the panel sessions, the conversations that went around that were really powerful. But I want to know what stood out for you, or what stood out the most to you about this year's festival and as its focus on African storytelling.
Well, I think the biggest takeaway this year was that it was very, very intentional about reclaiming the conversation around African storytelling and being very intentional about how the storytelling aspect is actually getting financed. And I think oftentimes we, as artists, get a little bit lost in the sauce of, I want to tell my story and I want to tell my story. And then when you watch cinema, you watch television, you don't see your story being reflected on the screen. And there's a lot of mystery oftentimes around that. But I think in the last couple of years, as the industry has changed its model, more artists have had to learn about the business of entertainment, which is what I talk about all the time, not only just here on the continent, but around the world, which is about how we begin to drive capital towards entertainment so that we can actually tell more of our stories. And I think that this year, so much of the dialogue and the conversation was centered around that. And I think that was an amazing takeaway.
Yeah.
All right, so AFRIF is one platform or one festival that has should I say elevated African movies, storytelling and the likes. But taking those globally, or on the world stage, what do you think can be added or should be done to take our film industry to where it belongs, like in terms of competing with Hollywood, even getting try to compete with Oscar, Oscar for the Oscar awards and the likes. What do you think can be done?
It's a great question, and I do think that we have to also redefine what success looks like. I oftentimes when I'm traveling around and I do master classes with artists, or even talking with government officials or whatever, that's the major thing of like, how do we compete with Hollywood? How do we compete? Yeah. And the question then becomes, what is that? What are the mechanisms to make that work? But how are we also measuring success? Like, are we successful if your movie gets into an Oscar, right? If we gets into an Oscar season, does that mean that the entertainment industry that you're a part of is now successful, right? So we have to figure out the measurables. And I think that more than anything, when we're talking about an industry, that means that there's sustainability, right? And so I think that we should be spending a little bit more time on creating sustainable platforms of engagement as far as in the business. We have to have a little bit more, I think, infrastructure and spending a little bit more financial opportunities in the infrastructural aspect. And I think sometimes what happens all over the continent, we get a little bit lost in this big swing. We want to go launch a massive studio in 2032. And it's like, but what does that do for the everyday artist right now in 2025 or 2026? How can we begin to take some of these refurbished buildings, retrofit them and make those sound stages so that we have places where we can do that? And also our pre-production, right? I think sometimes if you're looking at what Hollywood does, or even in Korea or the UK, they spend a tremendous amount of time in pre-production. When I say tremendous amount of time, we're talking about anywhere from 3 to 4 months, right? And sometimes here in Nigeria, the pre-production is happening on the way to production, right? So I think that we're really trying to figure out what that model looks like, but I definitely see that there's a lot more artists that are interested in that, and I'm very, very excited about the future.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, before I ask you my next question, I just want to call on my director to play a short clip that we got from Yellowstone, just because my next question is around that. If you could just pull that up, it's a short video. If you could just play that very quickly, and then I'll come back and ask my next question.
Hey, what time is it there?
An hour earlier than it is in Texas.
Ain't it strange how it's like different times in two places, but we're talking at the same time? Hell, it should take my voice an hour to get to you.
I'm gonna let you think that one through and never tell anyone you said it. That's how much I love you.
How much you what?
I mean, as a person, as a friend, don't read too much into it.
You love me and you said it.
I'm not. Look, I'm 2 coffees away from having this conversation.
Now, you know what's going on? Ryan won't tell us nothing.
It's not really my place to say. But I'll say this. If you have any big plans for the future, I'd start working on them.
I got big plans.
Tater!
I gotta go. I love you too.
Wow, all right then. So Denim from Yellowstone, of course, such a massive, production, such a massive project. And then, of course, you have your independent projects. Your career definitely reflects a deep sense of purpose. What drives the kind of stories that you choose as an actor?
Well, I think, in the beginning, what money drives what you're trying to do. And I think as you get a little bit older and you start to be able to do a lot of the things that you kind of want to do in your everyday, you start to be able to reshape yourself to do a little bit more focused things. And so I think more than anything, I wanted to be able to be a representation of something that's positive. But I think I'm so big about wanting the African storytelling mechanism to be a greater opportunity. And so like even in Yellowstone, I still wear a chain that it has the continent of Africa on it. Just even though you're a cowboy in, middle America, I still wanted there to be a representation of that. And so I'm always trying to tell something positive. I'm always trying to have something that is, I would say, more edifying, educational, and entertaining. And those are kind of like the 3 E's that I usually stand behind. And Yellowstone obviously has provided me with a tremendous Rolodex of being able to meet a lot of different people. And I couldn't be more excited to have been a part of that show for 7 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so since you brought up Yellowstone, I would like to ask the exit of Kevin Costner, do you feel he made the series in terms of the viewership better? Because I feel like after he left from 13 point something million views, you guys went to 16 million views. Is it a case of people wanting him out or a case of you guys now got on multiple, platforms?
No, it's a great question. I mean, look, the reality of it is, this is a business all the time, and Kevin is a major driver in the show's success on how we even got to 13 million. I mean, it was such a big undertaking for Paramount and 101 Studios, which is David Glasser and Taylor Sheridan, who is the showrunner and creator of the show. And but I think what was beautiful about the show, it was very much an ensemble show, right? And so Kevin was really the catalyst, the nucleus behind it. But there were so many different ideations with Cole Hauser, who played Rip, and Kelly Riley, who played Beth, and Lou Grimes, who played Casey, and it just goes on. And I think that as the show went on, everyone fell in love with these different thematic themes in the show. And I think that more than anything, people just wanted to see more Yellowstone, regardless of probably who was in it and who was not. They just wanted to see us living a real life. And I think that the show came in a perfect time. And I think that Kevin being a part of it has changed everybody's life. And, everybody has an exit. People want to go do new things. It wasn't necessarily about wanting out or anything else. I think it was just about people love the show and they love good storytelling. And I think that that's a really great mechanism that we can use even here on the continent, that it's not necessarily always about trying to attract a star, but are you intentional about your storytelling and then about your execution?
100%. Okay, as we wrap up, what's next for you? Are there any projects or collaborations inspired by your experience here in Nigeria and, of course, at AFRIF that we should look forward to? Because at the end of the day, we talk about collaboration and, being authentic, but it's really about working together. So can you give us any...
I'm sure they're fine now. I think we made a couple announcements a couple of weeks ago, so I'm sure I can say it now. Hopefully, they'll send me a text message soon and be like, why did you say that? But we have a couple of shows. So obviously, most of my company is based in sub-Saharan Africa, between Botswana and South Africa. And obviously, Nigeria is a big part of my Rolodex and my DNA. So we do have a show that we're doing, a telenovela that we're going to be doing called Mohapi that I'm doing with Paramount in South Africa. It's a 130-episode telenovela, so it's a massive project. But we're going to be doing it with a Pan-Africanist approach. So we will be taking actors from Nigeria and putting them into the show. Hopefully, we'll be doing auditions. And, Chioma, who's obviously the founder of AFRIP, has been a big driver in making certain that we're able to coordinate that. And so I'm very excited to be working with her in that regard. And then we also have a phenomenal opportunity where our company did a groundbreaking reveal just a couple weeks ago with this company called Prime Media Group, which is in South Africa, where our company will now be producing and owning the IP, 50% of the IP, and producing Idols, Dancing with the Stars, The Voice, and Project Runway. And so this is a great opportunity. And again, we'll be doing those not as a concentrated in a country, but taking a more of a Pan-Africanist approach. So we're also very excited about those 4 shows from the Shiny Floor shows as well as for Mohapi. So the work has been cut out for us. The good thing is Nigeria is ripe with amazing talent that's hungry to work.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about what we're going to be able to do together going into 26.
Yeah, we're
All right,
excited
real quick,
too.
before we wrap it up, just in 30 seconds. Now, we always talk about taking from Hollywood. Now, since you've been here, what have you learned from our culture, entertainment-wise? And what do you think Hollywood can learn from us?
It's always amazing thing. There's a passion. It's a brilliant question, because I think that goes back to the whole thing of, like, instead of it being about how can we be more like Hollywood, we should be asking a question, because we're the one that sets culture for all over the world, right? And I think more than anything, there's a level of drive, right, and ambition that it permeates. That's why I say the most successful group of people around the world is Nigerians all over the world. And I think more than anything, though, I think that what Hollywood could use is the way that they speed things up. In Nigeria, we like to get things done, right? And I think in Hollywood, sometimes it takes a little bit too much time to get something done. Sometimes you don't want to be spending 18 months talking about an idea or raising capital. And I think the great thing about this is it's also very much the country that never sleeps.
Yeah.
So you can be raising capital at all hours of the night in all different
100%.
places. So I think that Nigeria is right. You guys are the second largest film economy in the world, and it didn't happen by accident.
Definitely.
So you see, we are like Clark Kent, Superman.
This has been really amazing. I wish we could talk to you to the end of the show, but we really have to go. Thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you enjoyed your experience at AFRIP, and can't wait to see everything that you're working on in the future.
Thank you so much.